So I would like to talk about my parenting. It's been on my mind frequently lately. And okay, so I know that everyone is on their own journey and gets to be whoever they are, myself included. I was very stubborn for my parents, which created a lot of awesome and amazing relationship now. We've always had a good relationship, but anyway, so
what was the reason of bringing that up?
Because I, as a human, wanted to be whoever I wanted to be, regardless of what my parents wanted or felt was best.
In other words, you took the context, you saw what you liked from the context, and then you molded it into yourself so stubbornly.
Yes.
That's exactly what your parents wanted for you. They may feel like they're stuck or they were stuck in a context, but this is exactly what all parents desire for their kids. To take the context, to see what they like, to make preferences and make their own version of it. And some parents can express that clearly. Some parents might feel that they're focused on a context because sometimes their fears might be a little bit too dominant. But this is exactly what they've always desired.
Okay, so what's like my thought process is like moving so quickly through this. I want my kids, I feel like I do a very good job of allowing my kids to be who they want to be, and of course I have moments, and that's okay. I allow myself.
Let's talk about those moments. Those moments are when you reinforce the context.
Yeah.
The context that's familiar to you, because you can talk only from your context.
Yeah.
And you've created the context in which your kids are operating, and there will always be parts of that context that will not jive with them.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That it's actually a brilliant thing, because that's how they're making preferences. So when you say, and of course I have moments, we want you to know that these are the moments that you're having. You're having the moments where you stand the ground with your context. And your context is dominant. Your context will always be dominant within you. So there's no necessity for you to try to adjust your context so you can follow what they're doing, because they will do that for themselves.
Yeah. And they do.
Brilliant they are.
Yes, they are. They're brilliant. And so I'm noticing some behaviors that they have that
are not jiving with your context.
Well, I'm noticing that they could have a really hard time like I had. And
with who?
I don't know, anybody in life.
You cannot protect anyone from anything because there is nothing to protect.
That's true.
You can stay within your context, and if they have a behavior, if they're having a behavior that it's really in a place that it's outside of the context, or that you know about, that how you handle that, you can offer that. That's okay, because that is part of your context, and that is the part that they may choose to hear and make part of their context, or they may choose to use it as initiation to create their own version of that part of your context. Because there will always have parts of your context. Everyone that you're interacting with is always having, especially someone you're interacting on a regular basis, like your children, you're always going to have parts of your context for the rest of their physical iteration. And sometimes they're going to get to the place where it feels like they're so remote from it, but some pieces always stay there, because it is never that you really did not like everything from the context you grew up in, or that you really liked everything. It's never really so absolute. It's always somewhere along the way.
For sure. So I'm going to share a specific example to see if I can help myself find more clarity here. two of my kids will say, can I call you tomorrow? So my kids are not living with me right now, which is awesome. They'll say, can I call you tomorrow? And I say, sure. I very rarely call them. I let them call me when
Why?
they don't expect. Because like kids want to play and have fun. Like how boring to sit and talk to your mom
Why?
at school today.
Do you feel like you're boring? Do you feel like they do not have value? In other words, we understand your necessity to make sure that they're the ones making decisions. But you also are part of this mutual relationship.
Yeah.
And if you feel, in other words, you don't have to get yourself to this other space where you are trying to put out and put away all of your context so they can develop their own context, because they will do that regardless.
Okay.
The only thing is that if you feel like you don't want to talk to your kids,
Yeah. So
which is also okay sometimes that you don't and sometimes that you do, but there is a big difference.
Yeah.
We're trying to guide you. There is a big difference between you experiencing the context and then trying to stay away and keep it so light, kind of tiptoeing around so their context can be dominant. Everyone's context is consistently dominant within them, regardless of who is tiptoeing around and who is trying to accommodate who is not.
okay. So through that, I'm realizing that I'm trying to avoid my own context, because there was about 6 or 7 months where it was like court ordered that I had to have a call every day from this time to this time, and it would just sucked a lot for everyone.
That was not your decision,
Correct.
and now that's not true anymore.
Correct.
So you can, if you choose, let it go.
Okay. So within that, they may not call me the next day, which is fine. Like life is life. It's all good. And then they'll say like, I'm sorry I didn't call you. And that feels not good to me, that they feel like they have to, if they said they were going to.
It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. Their decision. They made a decision excitingly to say, we want to call you. And they now, for a moment, feel that if they did not follow through with their goal, in other words, it's their clear wanting that they had, and then something might taken care of, or maybe something more exciting was there, something more pressing that they didn't want to involve you with. And then at this moment, it's their context that they're trying to now navigate through. It is not about the call with you, it's what makes them may feel not as comfortable, is they didn't follow through with their own original desire. They did not feel comfortable that their dominant desire now is something else. It had nothing to do necessarily with the phone call.
Okay.
Phone call is just an expression of it. But this is in the background, because often you like to ask what is in the background. This is the good stuff from the background.
Okay. So I'm wanting to be the best possible example that I can be.
You are. So what do you tell them at the moment when they say, I'm sorry I did not call you? Why does it make you feel not so comfortable? Because you wish you have a control and you wish you have a magic wand to get them not to feel bad about decision that they chose. And this is the place where you can get more practice about being so steady as you're receiving this message from them and knowing exactly what it is. Now when you know what's in the background, how differently you can experience that. Okay. So here is the message. I'm sorry, Mom, I did not call you. And then what is the next thing that you have in your mind?
Well, what is in my mind and what I vocalize are very different.
So that's what we're trying to get you. We're trying to get you to the steady place so you can use this little inside scoop we just gave you to use that in the place of steadiness. So your experience of that comes through.
Okay, so then that brings, I know it seems like these are like super tiny details, but
very important ones.
Yes. So in realizing in the background that it's them feeling bad for changing their context or whatever, even though I know that it's helpful for people to go through what they go through and to be what they want to be, it is like heart-wrenching to see your kid not feel good. to see them hurt.
And that is the context that you want to change.
Yes. Yes.
This is the conversation that you want to have. This is the context that you want to change. Because what you're saying simply is not true. Because what you're saying is that what I want to do is my kids just to be in a blissful state of being and never experience the question. And they cannot experience that bliss if they don't experience the question. And if that question sometimes is not comfortable or discomforting, so be it. So be it, because they are prepping, they are testing it out. So you can see and you can guide them. But if you're going for this place where you want your kids to live non-physically in physical life, well, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You cannot win in this game because that game simply does not exist. You're trying to win and play the game that does not exist. So you want to be so steady to understand this. I will always be there for my kids. I will always be so steady so they can see where I'm at. And they will learn from me. Sometimes they'll meet me in a question, and more often, because I'm steady, they will meet me in the answer. But I know that they will always have this question answered in, because I know as well the value of the question. You do know the value of the question. So if you know the value of the question, why would you try to eliminate this value of the question for your kids? Because it's nothing to do you living through them or trying to protect them. You're really trying to change the game into something that it's not. And you are there as this steady place. You will always care for them. You will always want them to feel good. You will always want them to predominantly feel good. But you got to drop this game of trying to protect your kids from being physical, trying to protect your kids from being integrated, from experiencing, from asking questions, from getting curiosities, from finding the releases, from finding blissful place. And we understand, especially when they get to a certain age of breaking the barriers, especially in those stubborn preteen or really teenage years or young adolescent years, there is a period of about 5 to 10 years where there's a lot of things happening, a lot of spiking happening, moving through. And you want to eliminate those. What you're really looking to is that the range does not have to be so much, as we were talking to the friends earlier, that you don't have to go from despair and depression all the way to bliss and experiencing at all times, that this is what it feels your kids sometimes go through it. So it's not about them not experiencing some stuff on this here, but it's for them not to experiencing all the time. But how will they know the range if they do not experience the range as you experienced it and everyone else? And that range is consistently being infinitely expanded on all aspects of your experience. You feel like the emotion has the scale from depression or fear to bliss. This is consistently expanding. You consistently expand even in the colors in the sky that you can see, in the colors of everything around you. Everything is consistently moving. So if you feel like you really found the way to label or to organize things, you can do it only in a very general sense, but things are consistently expanding. That vibration of fear consistently expanding, of depression expanding, of anger expanding, of bliss, of love, of hopefulness, of ecstasy, of satisfaction, of love, of appreciation, consistently expanding. So it is not just stuck there for you to use it as a tool. It's consistently moving with every question that's ever asked by every focusing mechanism and every particle in the universe.
So as you're talking, I'm feeling like this is kind of what being is like maybe noticing if they go into despair or whatever, which has not at this point necessarily happened, but like just being okay with it. What I find tricky is like I'm okay with other people being there. Even my mom, like she and I have great conversations and she'll be crying and like sad and whatever.
So why do you love all of these other people more than your children?
Well, that is. Wait, what?
We know this might be mind-boggling, but this is exactly what it is. What you're trying to say is, I'm okay for my mom to experience the range and ask this beautiful question to get this beautiful bliss. I'm even okay for that for me. I'm okay for friends and all these random people to go through a variety of things so they can have the experience. But I want to cuddle up my kids because I don't really like them as much as I like my mother or as I like the next door neighbor. That's exactly what you're saying. You want to love your kids and allow them to experience it, and you will always be there for them. But the only way you can really be there for them to come back to that place of balance is for you to find the balance first. And the way to find the balance first is to know about inevitable question-answer dance that's happening at all times. And that you're not here, not for your mother, not for your friend, not for your neighbor, and especially not for your children who know this very well, that you're not there for them to try to ask the questions for them or try to eliminate the questions so they can just be in the bliss. Because the bliss that you're experiencing every time, it's never the same bliss. It's always more satisfying because of those questions that are consistently being asked.
Okay. I'll sit with this for a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful conversation.